Welcome to the South Australian Drought Hub podcast, strengthening drought resilience for our farmers and regional communities.
Change. It's often said that it's the one constant in life. However, getting people to embrace change requires understanding them, as they're the ones who'll implement it. G'day, I'm Drew Radford, and Drought Hub SA is using this as their guiding principle for their Ag Extension workshops. These are for researchers and advisors who want to explore effective ways to facilitate learning and drive positive change. To find out what the workshops involve, I'm joined by Rachel May, Farming Systems Adoption Officer with SA Drought Hub. Rachel, thanks for your time.
No worries.
Also joining the discussion is the person who helped deliver the workshops, Jeanette Long, facilitator, trainer and coach for Ag Consulting Co. And importantly, also a farmer. Jeanette, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Rounding out the conversation is someone who was a participant in the workshops, Dr. Caitlin Evans, who is a researcher in the livestock health space with the University of Adelaide. Caitlin, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Drew.
Rachel, you work with SA Drought Hub. Why were they keen to get involved with and support the delivery of extension training?
Well, the Drought Hub works fairly closely with farmers and farming systems groups. The Hub has a core objective in driving adoption and practice change to build on drought resilience. And in the early days of the Drought Hub, there was a consultation process with stakeholders which identified a knowledge gap for drought resilience. And out of that, one of the key themes that we've identified is for the upskilling of advisors and researchers in facilitation and extension. We feel that if project deliverers are able to deliver extension well, there's a greater chance that that will lead on to farmer adoption and practice change.
So, Rachel, this is a project that's underway. Where are you at the moment with it?
So out of that consultation and the identification of that gap, we've been able to engage Jeanette Long from Ag Consulting, and Jeanette has been delivering workshops with our key stakeholders and project partners to upskill project deliverers in the two workshops, facilitating learning and change and designing great extension. So out of that, we've been able to deliver training for 60 people. So that's 15 people per workshop. And we still have many more who are keen to be involved in any future opportunities.
Well, you mentioned Jeanette there, so that'll be a good spot to bring her in. Jeanette, you are hands-on in delivering the training. Who was it for?
So the workshop's been designed for researchers and advisors and anyone really that's engaged in extension activities who want to increase their skills and knowledge and be able to facilitate better extension. We're really aiming to give them some great tools, techniques, and the ability to facilitate learning in extension workshops. I think we underestimate the importance of peer-to-peer learning and how to sort of set up groups really well so that there's great conversations happening so that we do get the change that we're looking for.
So, Jeanette, what were some of the areas that you covered at the workshop? And I just want to take one step back. This might sound almost the unnecessary question, but what is extension? When I was a young journalist, I remember someone saying, agricultural extension. I had no idea. I imagine most people listening to this would, but just in case, what is it? And what were some of the key learnings that should be considered?
Drew, that is a really good question. And the old-fashioned terminology for extension was knowledge transfer. And unfortunately, as much as we'd like to, we can't transfer knowledge into somebody's head. So today we talk about extension as enabling change. So to me, it's about really building knowledge, skills, and confidence so that people can implement new practices in their farming businesses. And the key to extension is about people, because it's people that create the change, not all of the knowledge, the research, or the information. That's really important, but it's understanding people and how we can influence people, give them the opportunity to process information and do something with it. And sometimes that can be as simple as giving people time to think and talk at a workshop rather than doing death by PowerPoint, data dumps, thinking that we've got to fill every minute of an event with talking at people, giving people time to stop and think about, how will this work on my farm? How could I take this information that you're giving me and really apply it? Practice change and adoption is really the outcome that we are looking for in agriculture by the drought hubs, by the RDCs. I really believe that the ag industry needs to stop and spend more time planning events rather than just delivering them, and really think about how people learn and how people decide to change rather than just doing what we've always done. And the first step is to really put ourselves in the shoes of a farmer and think, what's in it for them? I often say when I'm running these workshops, why as a farmer should I care about what you're doing? What's the impact that it will have on me? And that's where we really should be focusing our extension and designing our extension rather than thinking I can transfer this knowledge into somebody's head.
You also bring lived experience to that perspective because you're a farmer. So I guess that really does give you insight of how you'd like to be talked to, or more appropriately, talked with.
Yes, absolutely, Drew. And my background is in adult education and teaching originally many years ago, as well as many years working as a facilitator in extension. So really thinking about how can we pull all of those principles together to make events really engaging.
Okay, well, what are some of those tips and tricks and tools to improve extension in SA? What are some of the common mistakes and or areas for improvement, Jeanette?
I would really like people to stop and think about what is the outcome and the practice change they are really aiming for before they start designing their extension event. Put themselves firmly in the shoes of the farmer and think about what's in it for them. Jump on the phone, have a conversation with a few so that you are clear on what it is that a farmer's interested in, that your research is engaging with. Spend some time thinking about who your target audience is. We often dump farmers in one big bucket and say, I'm targeting this at farmers. But there's lots of variety in farmers. I've spent a lot of time working with women on farms. We might be trying to target a particular age group, a location, an industry, or even where they might sit on the adoption curve because it's something brand new that we're really targeting our innovators. So be really clear on who our audience is, and then start thinking about what it is that they're interested in. And this is where I use a tool called CASA. CASA stands for Knowledge, Attitude, Skills, and Aspirations. It comes from Bennett's hierarchy. And I think we typically focus on knowledge. We think about what is the knowledge I have in my head that someone needs, rather than thinking about what is the knowledge that they already have and what do I need to top up rather than tip in. So understand the knowledge they have. Think about the skills that the farmer has. We often overestimate skill development, and sometimes it's not about knowledge at all. It's about building skills to be able to do something new. The attitudes and aspirations is around how do I feel and what will I do? So how do I feel about this thing that you're now throwing at me? Farming is a really complex business. We have a lot of moving parts, and sometimes it's nothing to do with knowledge and skills, the reason it's not being adopted. It's to do with attitudes and motivations. There might be competing interests. It could be a financial thing that we can't tackle right now, but really dig into some of those attitudinal things. Once we've done that, then we should start thinking about how I'm going to put this program together and what is the best approach to getting the outcome or the change that we're looking for. So really drilling in. And I think going back to smaller groups, bums on seats I know is a great measure for funding bodies, but it's not a great measure for change. We get a lot more change with small groups with time for conversation than we do with 150 people in the room and 5 presenters and 5 minutes for questions. So just thinking about how people learn, giving people some space within the time frame to really be able to think and process using great facilitation techniques.
You describe that really well, and I'm getting a very clear image of small groups and the opportunity to genuinely engage, talk and listen. So, Caitlin, you have been a participant. What is it you're working on with Drought Hub, and how did you think the extension training was going to help with that?
I've been quite lucky to work with the Drought Hub on a number of projects that have been quite geared towards extension. But the main one is a current project I'm working on with the Drought Hub, which is an MLA project that we affectionately call the Southern Beef Project. A major component of this is to actually review and redevelop the More Beef from Pastures program that's been sitting on the shelf for quite a few years. We want to equip producers with resources, tools and support to make informed decisions and help build resilience in their business, such as during times of drought. This is kind of like a long-term learning journey or 2-year program that we want to put producers through and hopefully give them the tools and resources they need to make these informed decisions. So I'm quite new to the field of extension, and so the training is kind of fundamental, I think, for our project team in terms of working out how do we develop this training package or extension program that's going to be such a long journey for producers.
You said you're quite new to extension training. You've got a fresh perspective there. Why do you think it's important for researchers to participate in extension training?
I think as researchers, we genuinely get excited about our research, and we always hope that what we do can influence positive change in our industries. However, we need to be able to share these results and how to achieve these results in sort of a real world setting. And to do this, we need to be able to share those results directly with producers. However, gone are those days of sort of lecture style presentations. And so we need to be able to adapt our communication styles and methods. Participating in this training gives some ideas and methods to allow us to continue to evolve our tools and techniques, and so that we can ensure that what we are communicating with producers is clear and engaging, and that they can see how they could integrate what we're explaining into their business. I also think it's not just applicable to producers in industry. I think a lot of researchers work in academic setting, and so a lot of what we learn in this training can also be applied to teaching. So undertaking it is kind of a win-win to be involved.
So, Caitlin, it sounds like you've got a great deal from it. What do you think your main takeaway from it has been so far?
I think that the main takeaway has been about the fact that extension or information delivery is around quality information, not quantity of information. We don't want producers to be so overwhelmed by the amount of information we give them that they don't know where to start. And I also think it's reinforced to me the importance of peer-to-peer learning, and that we can use technical experts to top up what fellow producers are teaching each other, but that we don't need to rely on experts to always be the ones delivering the information.
Rachel, where's the hub at with this? What's up next in regards to extension training?
It's been great to see the success of this project, and when I'm out and about and I'm seeing different delivery styles sort of starting to come through now, or seeing project deliverers just even tweaking just small parts of what they're trying to do with extension, it's all really promising. At the Drought Hub going forward, we'd like to see more of this. We are committed to continuing with the extension and facilitation training with our hub members and partners. We see it as the more people we can get on board, understanding the importance to be able to deliver effective facilitation and extension, we have a greater chance for practice change and leading to increased drought resilience. So going forward, it's all positive.
Well, it certainly does sound positive. You described it so clearly that even someone like myself can understand it very well. For now, though, Rachel May, Jeanette Long and Dr. Caitlin Evans, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me for this SA Drought Hub podcast.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.
Grace, thank you.
And that concludes this podcast. You'll find more podcasts on the SA Drought Hub website at sadroughthub.com.au. The South Australian Drought Resilience Adoption and Innovation Hub is one of 8 hubs established across the nation through the Australian Government's Future Drought Fund. The SA Drought Hub is an exciting initiative which brings together a dynamic network of primary producers, industry groups, researchers, government agencies, universities, agribusinesses, farming systems groups, traditional owners and others to work towards a common vision to strengthen the drought resilience and preparedness of farms and regional communities in SA. Led by the University of Adelaide in partnership with the Department of Primary Industries and Regions South Australia, the Hub is responsible for driving the extension of existing knowledge and practices to build drought resilience in primary production systems.